In my life, there have been many moments when I felt undervalued and forgotten. Family relationships, which should have been a source of support and understanding, often turned out to be a trial for me. When the phone kept ringing with calls from my parents, I couldn't believe the small amount they mentioned. Their voices on the phone were full of rage and disappointment. They were shouting, not giving me a chance to say a word. At first, I couldn't understand what my father was saying, his words blending into a single stream of accusations. Later, I found out that they were furious about the money I was supposedly sending to my sister, Mara. They claimed that I was sending them about $10,000 every month, while they thought I was only contributing a measly $880. But it wasn't true. I was sending $10,000 as promised. You must be lying, they insisted. Mara, with her modeling career, earns more than you. These words of my father, full of disappointment and reproach, echoed in my head. My mom joined in criticizing my lifestyle. Do you think it's normal to just live on your own, squandering your money? Why can't you be more like your sister? She takes such good care of us. I always felt that my parents favored Mara. She was stunning, attracting everyone's attention wherever she went. While I was often ignored. People always compared us, praising her beauty and joking about how plain I looked next to her. From a young age, it was clear to everyone that Mara was destined for success in acting or modeling. My parents doted on her, always making sure she had the latest fashionable clothes and enrolling her in any class she wanted. While I wore my puffer jackets and didn't go to classes at all. Mara grew up spoiled and naive, believing that what was mine also belonged to her. She took my things without asking, and when I protested, my parents would simply tell me, "Let it go, Amanda, she's younger, be a good older sister." They so easily ignored my feelings, always taking her side. Over the years, this favoritism only got worse. In elementary school, when Mara decided she wanted her room, my parents, without hesitation, evicted me. They moved me to the living room, justifying it by saying that I didn't have that many things and that I had enough space to sleep. The living room, where I slept among old family portraits, became my new bedroom. Feeling forgotten and undervalued, I decided to stop sending money home, hoping to prove my point. My name is Amanda, I'm 31 years old, I work in a food processing company, and I live with the burden of being the less favored child. While my amazing sister Mara, who was 6 years younger than me, enjoyed the attention and love that I never felt from our parents. My parents were outraged that I hadn't called for so long. Their dissatisfaction and disappointment poured out. I tried to explain to them that I had a lot of work and study, but my words drowned in the flow of their reproaches. They didn't understand how much effort I was putting in to send them $10,000 every month. Working as a security guard at a construction site was hard and exhausting, but it allowed me to earn extra money. My colleagues, seeing how hard I was trying, often bought me drinks and food, understanding the effort I was making. Despite all the difficulties, I continued to move forward, driven by a mix of family loyalty and the desire not to feel worse than my sister. Deep down, I clung to my grandfather's words, hoping that after these difficult times, happiness would bloom for me again, like Amanda's in spring. I did everything I could to save money. I cut back on eating out and other unnecessary expenses. But even with this approach, reaching the monthly amount of $10,000 was a challenge. Deciding to increase my income, I decided to get a professional certificate. Devoting every free minute to studying, I plunged into a crazy schedule of work and study. The days blurred into a quick combination of responsibilities, and I missed calls from my parents. When I finally had a moment to call them back, I was met with instant anger. "You're terrible, what do you think about us?" My father shouted as soon as I answered, and my mother's voice echoed agreement in the background. I tried to explain my situation to them, but they seemed unwilling to listen. Their disappointment and dissatisfaction were so strong that it became hard for me to breathe. At that moment, I felt even more alone and misunderstood. It seemed that no amount of effort could change their attitude towards me. But I continued to cling to my dream, to my grandfather's words, and to the hope of a better future. After talking to Scarlett, I fell into deep thought. Her words sounded reasonable and logical, but at the same time, it was difficult for me to make the decision to stop the payments. I always tried to be a responsible and caring daughter, and the idea of stopping supporting my parents caused an internal conflict. On the one hand, Scarlett was right. My parents always paid more attention to Mara, and most of their resources and efforts were directed towards her education and career. On the other hand, I couldn't just abandon my responsibility to help the family. I decided to try to clarify the situation with my parents once again. Gathering my courage, I called them and explained the misunderstanding with the money transfers. I explained that Mara had suggested we keep the contributions anonymous, and that's why there was a mix-up with the names and amounts. My parents were first surprised, then embarrassed. They admitted that they really didn't know the details of our agreement with Mara and had been misled by incorrect information about the transfers. After this conversation, the tension eased somewhat, but I still felt unsure. It was clear to me that our relationship with our parents needed a serious revision. I decided that I would continue to support them, but within more reasonable limits and taking into account my own capabilities. I also realized that I needed to pay more attention to my own needs and dreams. I had devoted so much time to helping others that I had almost forgotten about my own desires and ambitions. It was time to change that and start building a life that would make me happy. Scarlett supported me in this decision. She advised me to make a plan to achieve my goals and reminded me of the importance of self-care. Her support and understanding helped me gain confidence in myself and my abilities. Now I was standing on the threshold of new changes. There was a lot of work ahead of me on myself and my relationships with my loved ones, but I was ready for this challenge. Deep down, I knew that I could overcome all difficulties and find my path to happiness and self-realization.